I'm Marc Morial, and I'm President and Chief Executive Officer of the National Urban League. I want to talk to you today about the Urban League's new call to action campaign. It's called the D3 campaign. And those D's stand for three important calls to action. The first is to defend democracy. And I'll talk to you a little bit about that in a moment. The second is to demand diversity, equity, and inclusion. And the third is to defeat poverty. What is this call to action? This call to action is the Urban League's call under the banner of Urban League Fights for You as to what we want to see in this nation at this crucial crossroads. So first, when we say defend democracy, we do not mean to defend the status quo. We mean an affirmation of the values and the principles of American democracy. Number one, voting, and the right to participate in the civic processes and in the decision making and in the election of those that make the rules and appropriate the money that controls our lives. For too long, in the most recent past, we've witnessed a nasty, unbridled, highly financed campaign to suppress votes, to gerrymander district lines based on racial exclusion. We've seen an effort to interrupt and overturn legitimate elections. And yes, we've seen January 6th. And we've seen a Supreme Court that has failed to uphold the basic principle of the right to vote. Instead, they've overturned important provisions of the Voting Rights Act. Defend democracy. Number two, demand diversity, equity, and inclusion. On this, the 60th anniversary of the Civil Rights Act of '64, which opened the doors to economic opportunity for blacks and women and other people of color and marginalized Americans, it is imperative at this moment, where the principle of equal economic opportunity and the tools to correct the injustices of the past toward a more diverse and equitable future not be walked away from. Those that would destroy diversity, equity, and inclusion want to turn America's hands back to an ugly era of division, discrimination, and segregation. Whether it's in the factory, in the classroom, in the courtroom, in the offices, in government or the private sector, or even in the nonprofit sector, we must demand diversity, equity, and inclusion. And third, we must defeat poverty. Poverty is the notion that in this nation of abundance and economic prosperity, that too many Americans still suffer. We can address it with a national minimum living wage. We can address it by reinstituting the child tax credit. We can address it with baby bonds and guaranteed income and access to early childhood education and affordable, yes, affordable college, community college, four-year college, and workforce development programs as well. Those three Ds, we call it the D3, are the Urban League's call to action in 2024. I hope you'll join us. Go to nul.org for more information. And I'm Marc Morial, and you can follow this continuing conversation across all social media channels. That's right, on Instagram, Facebook, and X. I'll see you next time. Stay strong as we empower communities and change lives.